Hi everyone, Evette Rose here, and welcome to Finding Your Spirituality Summit. And guys, I am so excited to have Sundari here with me today.
So happy to be with you. Woo!
I'm so excited to hear what's going to be coming through with all this beautiful channeling. And so guys, for those of you who are new, Sundari is an alchemist of light and also liberation. And she's a global heart and field leader for the planet and also a guide to lasting and healing and rapid transformation. And she actually serves some of the top influencers and also biggest corporations and highest performing leaders, supporting them in quantum leaps of ascension and also mastering the flow and effortless creation of vibrational state that she helps them to powerfully step into and also to access their gifts and creating their ultimate life and freedom and also love for themselves as well. And she has a lot of amazing online products as well. Sundari, thank you so much for being here, especially for this powerful summit.
What a powerful vortex you're creating, a powerful container to really remember our fullest spirit, our spirit of enlightenment. Enlightenment is to be enlightened. So I'm excited to be here with you, my love.
Me too. So all about finding your spirituality. This is something, and the reason actually why I wanted to do the summit so early in the year is actually, this is something that a lot of people have found during COVID and lockdown, but it's also something that a lot of people have lost. Those moments where, you're on your knees and you finally, when we have our biggest breakdown, we sometimes have our biggest breakthrough, but it doesn't always seem to be the case for everyone. Some people actually really, truly just have a breakdown and they completely collapse and they can't get out of that. And whatever spirituality or religion or connection it is that they had that used to support them, they feel like that suddenly has failed them. It's not, it doesn't have my highest bench, what do you say it in English? Best interest at heart. And I have to say, I kind of wobbled a little bit myself during COVID. I snapped out of it, but a lot of people didn't snap out of it. How did you navigate your way through COVID?
Wow. Well, we can go super human and super multidimensional because this is what I believe. Like all parts of us are welcome here. All of us are here to be received and seen. And the first thing that comes through when you say that, for anyone that's in that place of like, what the fuck, like God has failed me, the world has failed me, I'm a victim, I'm controlled by the government, by the things that are happening, all these feelings and ideas that we're experiencing. What comes through behind all that is just hopefully a transmission, that a frequency that people can feel within their systems, is that there is nothing wrong with this moment. Like everything is right. Everything is for our greatest highest good. Now, this is the part where like the human's like, bullshit. This does not look like my greatest highest light. And this is the journey of our being connected to our spirit, connected to more than this human body vessel that we think that we are, this 3D construct. Again, if you look at even the dimensions of consciousness, 1D is density, heavy matter, like rocks and, the earth, minerals. 2D is animals, right? The consciousness of animals and plants. Well, we're only 3D in our human awareness. We're just above that, going, and even transmuting where we're going. Fourth dimensional consciousness is to see through those illusions. So if this is just what's coming through right now, that if this will give people support in hearing and realizing that when we're given the gift and opportunity to get rid of, to shed, to release, to let die, which I see as de-story, dissolve. We're just dissolving and destoring whatever is not in alignment with who we truly are, our divinity, which is like here for our fucking greatest game, right? It is, the 4D looks more real than ever. The 4D looks like all of our 3D ideas are so fucking true. Everything is coming up as the scariest, the greatest limitations, our greatest core wounds, that we can lean into it, because the journey to 5D, which is just to see through that illusion and operate from unconditional love. Fifth dimensional consciousness is simply baseline unconditional love, acceptance, honoring, unconditional love of all things. So if we just put in this construct, this idea of you're going this pathway of, and life, our human journey. I mean, if people know my story, it's like was filled with every trauma. It was filled with every hardship. It was the depths of learning scarcity and sickness and disease and limitations and all of it. And so I can resonate or relate to being in that place where everything you look at is just fucking hard. And this idea, until we have this awareness, at least, or someone brings in the awareness that we can see through the view. It's like if someone can look at you, Evette, and you're like, all right, instead of buying into the stories of COVID, I chose to create my greatest bliss. Because it's interesting, isn't it? When we just evaluate what's happening, it's interesting that some people are choosing their greatest life, experiencing their greatest life in bliss. It doesn't depend on what the world is doing, again, as a sovereign being. And other people are like, fuck, when is this going to end? And this is constricting my life, which we also get is a reality for what people are experiencing. So we're experiencing all aspects of it and the duality of it. If we can even just, I guess, see that this is part of the pathway of coming to our remembrances, we get to face the things that are low vibration, which means low vibrational ideas, limitations, thoughts, stories, experiences, etc. So when you, this is just what's coming through, when you asked, like, how did I transverse with that? Well, where I am at now in my journey and working with a lot of, I channel a lot of galactic light beings, as well as, work with ascended masters and all these things, is just a part of me going through the journey of teaching people how to align their human life is also to open up their mystical multidimensional capabilities. Well, right before COVID hit, I actually got hit with staph infection. Now you're in Bali as well. So I don't know if you know what that is or anyone's heard of it, but I had literally these like marks all over my body that were like having burns all over my body. I had like hundreds all over my entire body. It hit me, and within days, my whole body was covered, and I couldn't shower. I couldn't sweat. I couldn't work out. I couldn't leave my house because it's highly infectious, couldn't touch anyone. And I instantly, in this total, how am I going to live? I found a guy who does like IVs and ozones and all these things. Went and saw him, and he was like, this is staph. And he's like, this is trying to kill you. This is literally trying to kill you. And I went into doing 12 hours a day of IVs and ozone treatments and all these things, and having someone come twice a day and cleanse my wounds and do all this. This was right before COVID hit. Now, in that whole journey of, again, whenever something is showing up in total resistance, see, what I want people to hear is the old idea is, why is this thing happening to me? It's also, this is wrong, this is a mistake, or judging or shaming or blaming it. That cleansing, see, for me, it wasn't, I don't see sickness as sickness anymore. I see everything as an upgrade in my system. Any physical symptom showing up in our bodies is telling us what emotionally is out of ease with life, what stories or attachments we're still holding on to that gets to be cleansed, so that we can be a higher vibration, that we can have a different experience. So even living the life that I lived, this was just 2 years ago, right? When all this went down, instead of why is this happening, I was like, okay, what is this bringing up for me? And it was bringing up everything that actually came up for everyone with COVID, meaning I'm controlled, I'm a victim, all these things were coming up that I got to go through, being the embodiment of being the work, right? Going into the play with my thoughts, my stories, etc. And moving through that, when I came on the other side of that, is actually when I started to channel the Pleiadians, when the Pleiadians started to come in really strong. And they gave me an assignment of doing 7 days of light code activations online, which I'd never done, which was a total scary next level for me. My point being, when they came in and said the staff was literally to cleanse my system, to experience everything that was coming up for the planet with COVID, so that I could integrate those new codes. And with the as I mentioned before with the staff, through the whole process, I kept hearing annihilation, like this thing's trying to annihilate me. And this guy was even reflecting. He's like, this thing, I've never seen anything like this. And it led to a lot of shifts that got to happen. I was going to go back and see my boys. We canceled my retreats, all these things happening. And when I, right before COVID hit, I went into a medicine journey day, because I was all of a sudden, like, my body's healed, but I would have these little spots show up, and instantly I'm like, oh no, is it coming back? What's happening? And so I was like, okay, wait, let me communicate here. Like, I was like, what else do you want me to know? What's actually happening here? What else is here for me to learn or to see? And it said to me, it's like, I was your gift. Like, it was like, had a little attitude like a teenager. It was like, I was your gift. Like don't see me as something against you. It was like, I was your gift. I was cleansing, I was annihilating everything in your system to allow you to operate at a higher vibration to be who you are here to be in this planet. And so again, and I share that just to see that like our human eyes might look at something and we think we see the whole picture, but what's beyond that illusion is unconditional love. What's beyond that illusion is that everything is for our highest, greatest good. I couldn't be the channel that I am today. I mean, I so many other gifts and capabilities came through that have led me down whole other pathways of working with other light beings, and also just what I've been able to share in my business, you name it. Like, there's no way I could even put human words or encapsulate the gifts of I received from that experience, which was fucking challenging. And it was traumatic and it felt hard and it felt like it hit the depths of my lowest. I'm alone. I'm going to die, blah, 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 blah. All these things that just wanted to come up to cleanse and clear as to like, what else is actually available? So in anything that I mean, just the reminder here is that everything is for you. Everything is for you. Everything is for you. There is no mistake. Because in every single moment, just even you sitting and being here, you are a more wise being in every moment. You're a more experienced being in every moment.
Yeah.
So the journey is first in these constructs of consciousness is to work with the mindset that says, I'm seeing life through this illusion, and to actually get curious about what else is available, to drop into our bodies, to be able to operate from our heart, and to go, well, what actually feels good. So we know that in this time period, look at what you're creating. You're creating a way online that people are connecting in their spirituality and all these things. Like, and all of us, yes, we experienced shifts. Like I had a retreat in Peru that got canceled, Egypt, Colombia, Bali, all were canceled and wiped off. And it was like, again, how do we serve? Like, how do we share these truths that we know? What else is possible? How else do we connect? And I was guided to do the 7 days of light code activations, which was called Peace for the Planet, which is now a 7 days of these channeling activations for activating your DNA and all these things, which I was like, that in and of itself, the amount of people that we've had that have said they've struggled with something for 40 years and then just through those activations, like cleansed it out of their system and no longer it applies. Like, how could I ever put a value on that? And then what they go then on to do, right? So it's like, we can't put logic around it because logic doesn't exist. Logic is whatever you're looking for, whatever your perception is looking for. So in this time, it's like, we got to learn ways of slowing down. Like, we've been given so many gifts of healing the planet at this time, of slowing down, of becoming present with what we were ignoring as we were like going everywhere and doing everything. What do we get to heal within our relationships? How do we interact in a greater way? So many people like now had the presence to be like, dive into their spirituality, dive into their awareness, their awakening, their aliveness to life, where they've been, dormant and numbed down with all the things, not even finding their own orgasmic, luscious lovership with life, their own feeling breath and feeling the pleasure and feeling all these things. This is what's available for us. So sometimes that means a bitch slap. It's like sometimes when we're, ignoring things, bitch slaps happen where we're like, pay attention. I always say pain is pay attention inside now. And when we ignore those things, they get bigger and bigger because they're saying, hey, I want your presence. So this, to me, this time is, how could I ever say anything other than the gift that it is? Because I'm just putting an illusion on it. I'm demeaning the value of this gift of what we're evolving to in society as we're dissolving and destroying these old ways of being and operating. And we're owning our sovereignty. We're finding ways to connect. And more people are like, okay, I get to do this and shine my gifts online then. Like, there's infinite possibilities of what we want to experience, but there's a dying that gets to happen. And that's like the reality of it. We're just in the fucking death of next level of our evolution to be able to receive what's on the other side, receive a greater way of abundance and pleasure and play and shining our gifts and our light. And I get that when you're in the human thing, you're like, well, this is fucking hard. And that's okay. That's also a part of it, is to like come into our humanness and be in softness with our humanness. That's why I do a lot of inner child work and teach a lot of this. It's like our in what inside is wanting to be heard, to be seen, to be loved, that it feels fucking hard. I get that. But I always say it's only as hard or easy as we want to make it. Because again, you can say, if the perception is this thing is horrible and we don't know when it's going to end and blah, 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 blah. And that's it's hard. But if we say, oh, wow, look at all the amazing ways that I'm now connecting with people. And look at how so many more people are this. And look at how we're creating this. And we're creating new systems here. And this, what else is available? Like, it's as easy or as hard as we want to make it based on that perception. So the first thing I just want to offer is this perception shift, to see beyond the illusion that this is not for us, and actually to hear and remember every single fucking moment is for me. And if people can just tune into a time in your life when, man, you went through something that was so hard, and years later, if you look back in that and go, wow, what are all the things I received from that? What are all the gifts? What did that teach me? Who did that allow me to be? Who did that connect me with? I wouldn't be this person who even has a depth of compassion and understanding for human life, or, gets, it's like our mess becomes our message. So this mess is just fucking the next level of our message and our gifts and our glory that we get to receive. So, but now that you've had time, you can kind of recognize that. So just because we're in it to create an illusion that it's wrong is just creating our own suffering. Like, what's right about this? What is actually here for us? So, like you might have like, oh, I shook myself out of it. And other people are like, like, feel like we're just fucking thrown all over. And I'm just reminding you, my loves, the chaos comes before the clarity, and that all the resistance is just revealing what wants to be healed and loved to be received on the other side. So it's a fucking moment at a time, my love. That's true consciousness, right? Being in this moment, being present with what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm creating as a divine source creator, as sovereignty, is to just be in this moment and just take it a moment at a time. And that's how we can choose, a moment at a time to see beyond that illusion, to practice, okay, I'm going to turn on some music and create some of my joy after I shake all that out. But it's like, it's to be consciously here, to be in the full experience, not to ignore the experience. We want to fucking dive into the experience.
I love that. And, it's so true. And when I look at what you were saying, so far, and also how you used your inner child, you said you did a lot of inner child work and you love to do that. What was
me and my little girl, she's like, I'm always aware of my little girl, like everything. It's like, we're all one. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And what was one of the most memorable breakthroughs that you had working with your inner child?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Well, now there's not a separation from it. I actually, one of the shows on my podcast, I think, was called like Your Inner Child is Running Your Life. And it's because, again, we develop all of our programs, all of our beliefs, all of our patterns or behaviors by the time we're like 6 or 7 years old. And so our inner child is literally the one that's running, steering the ship, until we're willing to actually connect to that inner child and say, oh, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? Oh, sweetie, thank you. Thank you for letting me know you're thinking this or you're feeling this. Why? Why is it? Oh, that story. Oh, that experience. Oh, wow. Okay. I can see that. Actually, this is what's really true, or this is what's true now for us. This is what we now know, or this is actually what's available. And we're we're almost upgrading the conversation with inner child to be like a higher age, right? Instead of letting the little kid that thinks that monsters are under the bed, we're like, oh, thank you for letting me know you're afraid, my love. You're feeling scared. Why is that? Monsters under the bed. Oh, can we look together? And let's dive into this scary story, etc., to dissolve it, to then all of a sudden they're like, right. Oh, okay, that was an illusion. This is what's true. So now, I mean, in what I teach always, all aspects of ourselves. There's nothing good, bad, wrong, or right, from all aspects of our feelings to, like I said, that's why I'm human and I'm multidimensional. And that means all parts of me exist. Like all of me has a voice. All of me is willing to be seen. That's how we cleanse and clear everything. So I mean, I don't even know when this started. It was years and years and years ago, as I was guided to knowing that I got to heal these ideas that my inner child was holding on to, or these experiences that my inner child was holding on to, and how to just become like best friends. Just like you also get to own your feminine and your masculine aspects of yourself. You get to harmonize your feminine and your masculine. If you're in resistance to the masculine, it's like you haven't harmonized the masculine within, right? We get to become our own sacred union. So of course, my inner child is a part of that. And you know, the more that we evolve, we're like, oh, my teenager has a voice, and my masculine has a voice, and my feminine has a voice, and you know, my self-parent has a voice. And we actually, so it's funny. I saw a reel or something the other day where someone was like, you know, people call me crazy. You know, I checked in and we all said, no, we're not crazy. And it's like, that's true for me, because it's like, I have all these aspects of myself, right? But most people be like, that's crazy. You should have just one voice. But usually the voice we're hearing is that limiting voice. It's the ego mind that only sees that out of a certain way. So I can't say that there's like one that, I mean, I've shared with you some other stories where it's like, I had to go through guidance with my inner child of where she had these beliefs that we wouldn't be able to create what we wanted if we didn't dissolve those stories. But it's just realizing that that is a part of us, like having the conversations with ourselves. And that's usually based out of the inner child, because inner child had those scary experiences or those ideas or those stories that wanted to be, that they want to say, no, you can't do this because this is true. You know, I mean, one that comes to mind just right now, the layers that go through this, like when I became a global citizen and I was embodying at this time, or learning to integrate the divine feminine, like moving and following in each moment where I was guided to go, letting go of, you know, the construct of the masculine and where it had to be and how it had to look. And I was literally called to let go of to stop running my masterminds, to let go of my, like, complete all my $1 million client contracts, stop doing retreats. And it was like, I had to release everything. And I was called to go global. Even at that time, my son, my boys were with me, you know, from the time I got divorced when they were 1 and 4 years old. And we went through, you've heard my journey of being a $2 an hour waitress and then becoming $1 million coach. And so, you know, my boys were with me full time through that whole journey until after we came back from Colombia, where we did one of my retreats. My boys also went down to the jungles and did Sacred Sacrament with me when they were 9 and 12 and for a few years. And my oldest was like having this experience of total expression and created his YouTube channel, and then saw our family back there was like, that's not okay. And he was experiencing resistance. So he's like, Mom, I feel like I have to go move there and face it. I have to face what's true for me. I have to live there. And this is a 14-year-old facing me. And I was like, the place that I was in the past would have been like, no fucking way. I will do anything to keep you out of certain environments and certain levels of consciousness. The me in this point was that, hey, you're a divine being and only you can know where you're called to go. And I can only honor that. So at this same time, I was being asked to stop doing all these things, not knowing why. My oldest then was like, I've got to go live with my dad for the first time and live there. And I'm like, okay, beloved, I trust that. I honor that. And I knew my youngest would eventually get to go with him because they're so tight. Oh. So I started like following that intuition, preparing him. So I'm saying, like, I was literally being asked to strip everything away. So fast forward, we moved them out to Utah to live with their dad for the first time. And then I was called to literally let go of the Magical Manifestation Mansion and just go global. And it was like, can you go moment by moment where you're called to go to teach and to serve? I was called into working in caves and ashrams and, you know, craziest things, such beautiful immersions of my soul. And it was like, there's no way I could have continue to run my masterminds, work with personal clients at that time. I was literally called into deep immersion and work of upgrading my system. And one of the things that happened for me, love, that kind of brings it back to this inner child story is, like, I'd always gone global with my retreats, but always had people there to, you know, receive me and support and teams. Right. Now I'm just going on my own. And I kept getting this, you get to go, this is your journey of aloneness. And I was like, alone? My human's like, I'm cool with being alone. I love my alone time. Something in my system said, that feels fucking scary. Well, I had no idea the journey would take me down to healing my aloneness, which actually now I consider I'm fully with myself. Like when people are like, you're alone? You live in this place and you're alone? I'm like, no, I'm with this. I'm with me. Are you kidding me? This is all awesome. So one of the experiences for me in that, the first time, let's see, I think I started in Portugal. And then I got called to go to Porto. And so got a car and I'm driving in Europe for the first time. And I remember being like, I'm safe. I got this. Oh, I'm safe. Like, it felt so scary for me to even like follow maps and trust, like, where am I going with a different language, a different country. And I get to this little city, and in Europe, all the cars are like everything on the streets are just like doors, but there's no like, you don't see a store or hotel, etc. They're just like like a garage door or doors. And then all these cars parked up. And I was like, went by this place that was supposed to be my hotel several times and I couldn't find it. And I started feeling so fucking scared in my system. I pull over and I was literally like, like I felt like I was going to die. Like it triggered everything in my system that I felt alone. I felt like, and the alone meant I'd be abused, I'd be attacked, I'd be abandoned, and I'd die. That if I was lost and all this, that I would die. That's like the depths of it for me. And I was literally about to like, I'm just going to go fucking find the car rental place, which is like 40 minutes away. I'm going to just drive it back and get a taxi, and wanted to just run from it. And I just stopped and I had to breathe. And I was like, to my little girl, what are you feeling? You know, I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling all these things. Like, why is that? What's really true? I'm like, right now let's get curious. What else is possible? So I call the hotel place that I'm trying to find, and they're like, oh yeah, if you drive by, it looks like a big garage door, but you just have to hit the button, the door goes up, and then you drive down into the thing, and that leads you to the hotel. So I managed to do that. I go to the front desk, I check in, and right after I check in, I'm literally walking away from the front desk, sobbing in tears. I'm crying, I'm shaking. I get into the elevator and I'm like, and I get to my hotel room and I lay on the bed and I just sob my fucking eyes out. Why would that trigger me? Being not finding that moment, that was showing me what inside. My little girl was terrified of, if I was lost or alone, I would be attacked and I would be abused and I would die. All those things, as I've shared in lots of my other experiences in my book and all sorts of things, how that connected, even my past experience, I had, rape attempts, stalkers, kidnappers growing up, all these things, was like, it's like me, anything outside my box, it's scary. It's scary for me to get lost. All of that in a conversation with my little girl, and like going through the curiosity of what else is possible. That very next day, when I went walking, I only walked like a block and a half. I only walked where I knew I could, okay, I know if I go this street and that street, I can back to the hotel. Okay, but getting lost was terrifying to me. And then as I had to keep working this as my little girl, I'm like, well, what's really true, what's possible is, what's exciting around a mile away that we don't even know. And, we can always call a taxi if we know where the hotel is. We can always, it's like, and how could I lean into like loss became excitement and adventure. And so the next day my intention was, I'm going to go get lost. And and instead of lost, it was like, we're going on an adventure, sweetheart. And like, oh, and each place I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. Oh, and I find these like cool drawings everywhere. And I just, oh, what's up here and what's here? And found the coolest things ever that I was like, I never would have found and experienced, and people that I experienced, if I hadn't walked through that inner conversation and said, sweetie, this is actually how we experience life and all these things for us to see, and and like taking that next step. Now I fucking love my adventurous life. Like I travel all over the world, do the crazy shit, and have, I've had adventure retreats and all these things that became, because now there's no constraint that can hold me. There's no limitation. I am a free being. And if that was one of the things I was choosing in all the money and all the things that I've chosen as my core decision about freedom was, I'm going to go wherever the fuck I want to go, whenever I want to go there, do whatever the fuck I want to do. I have the money in abundance to support me in my life experiences, in the service I'm called to create for the world, and the philanthropy projects I love to do, all of it. There's no limitation. I couldn't do that until this got to come up and heal those things. And I found depths of multi-generational programming, what was in my epigenetics, so many things that had this attachment to, being that I would just die, which are humans like, I wasn't going to die. I was in a car. I could be like, I even was like, okay, sweetie, you're safe. Like, let's notice I'm in a car, there's plenty of people, there's anyone I can ask. And I had to bring a higher awareness to it. It's like, we can ask for where we're at. We can ask people, we can call a taxi. There's all these ways we can go explore now. And this is how we have fun. And I had to get my little girl on board with that. So, I mean, that was a lot, but that was one that came to mind. And that was even way down the road of years of me working with her. It's going to continue to still, there's this next level for me to receive, that we get to come into a higher awareness with all parts of ourselves.
That is very powerful what you said. And there was also a phrase that I heard you say quite a few times, and that was, I'm going to die. I'm going to die.
Yeah, that's how it felt.
This, yeah, I believe you 100%. And you know, this is also something where I see people get stuck quite a lot. And that is when they start to dive into the spirituality, they start to, you know, going through change and transformation. And of course, there's aspects of your identity that dies or changes. There's aspects of your past that just dies, or at least the way that you perceive it completely changes. And we have such a fear of this identity death, which is actually about to be your biggest breakthrough, that I've noticed that people perceive this fear of dying, meaning now figure of speech, meaning a certain aspect or identity of you, is almost experienced so deeply. And it's like the physical, biological body reacts to that, which is the biological body's worst nightmare, because it's its soul's purpose to give you a life. So when we keep telling ourselves, or we're thinking, or we're feeling that there's something that's going to happen, and we feel the fear of potentially dying, the biology of the body actually reacts, and it intensifies that fear so much more. It's paralyzing. It's absolutely paralyzing.
That's the 4D we talked about. That it feels, because again, you're going to bring up what's already in my cells and my system. Why I already believe this is from my past experiences, also from what's in the multi-generational DNA that's in my system. All of it was like, you know, this believed these things. So it brought it up so viscerally. That's why I say, like, just even to pull over in the car and I was hyperventilating, it was like, I had to be like, breathe and talk to my little girl and be like, okay, we're safe. We're sitting in a car. We're safe. We're safe. We're just sitting in a car. Let's just get curious. Like, what are you feeling? And all these things. And because it does bring it up, that it intensifies. And that is, it isn't to run from it. It's actually to lean into it is the only way through it. So even with what we're looking at with what's happening in the world, whatever is happening in your life, it isn't to want it to be different. It's actually like, this fucking gift is asking for my presence. It is asking for me to fully lean in, to feel what is here, because it's that feeling. I mean, we are energetic beings, and you probably heard the statements like, feel it to heal it, right? Like, I get to feel it, that actually, that release, that me sobbing and crying and being fully in that released so much of that intensity from my system, that then I could go, okay, sweetie, like, what are we believing? Why, you know, and then journey the dissolving. So the death is just dissolving. It's de-storing, it's unraveling. We get to unravel these knots in our system. So as I teach, like, activating and cleansing, clearing the rainbow light body, and more of the multidimensional aspect, it's like in our human bodies, all of our energy systems, we have, that's why someone might have like an issue with their liver, because they're storing anger and they've never let their anger be seen or heard, or never allowed themselves to fully express. And that's like stuck. And it's the unraveling of these stuck parts that, and a lot of times what happens, my love, and why people are like, God, I'm fucking in it, is because when you start to unravel that big ass knot, all of a sudden it like, woo, and it unravels this one and it's going into this one. And it's like, you fucking open up like this gold mine.
Yeah.
And this is what's so beautiful. And in the more that we actually allow and soften and surrender and open to what is here for me, that it unravels. It's like you can unravel lifetimes of stories and connections. So it's how deep are we willing to go? And I teach a lot of people, like, you know, whenever there's resistance, and how we start to lean in and we feel it and we keep getting curious. It's like, oh, what's underneath that? Oh, what's that connected to? And what's underneath that? And next thing you know, instead of someone like on the surface being like, oh, I'm triggered, I'm going to look over here, or like barely touching it, we're just unravel massive amounts of stuckness in our system. That then notice from that release is like, like, how do you feel when you actually like allow yourself to cry and sob and rage and get expression out that's been building up? And then you're like, all of a sudden your body has space. So in our lives, we have space to receive, because we've opened up the space of what was being blocked off. Same thing with what's happening in the world. We are literally unraveling all the things that have taken up stories and ideas in space of the way of being humans, of way of interacting, way of making money. I mean, New Earth abundance is fucking like, we're all fucking abundant. There's infinite supply of abundance. What's been the issue is there's been a distribution problem from holding on and hoarding and lack and scarcity ideas instead of there's fucking infinite available for everybody. So it's such a glorious journey, but the shift is, this is for me. Wow, what's here for me? Thank you. Thank you. Not, oh no, bad and wrong. It's thank you. What is here? Let me get curious. I'm just a child playing a game, because I'm just in this beautiful, holy human playground, this earth that was created as our safe space to dance in our remembrance of our divinity through our human experience. We are celestial beings having a physical experience in a human body vessel. So we're just playing. Like, and how much more can you give yourself permission to lean into something if it's like, it's okay for me to feel sad? What am I sad about? What's here, sweetheart? What does this sadness feel like? Can I really allow myself to feel that, and all the stories connected to it and all the ego that it can actually see all that's been just suppressed and been waiting to be seen. And you can lean into it when you're like, give yourself permission that you're just going to play. I'm just playing with these ideas, these thoughts, you know, what is here? And it's such a beautiful journey.
No, you played yourself into your spirituality. That's how you that's what I'm hearing. Like, you just had fun with it. You faced the fear. It was your new freedom, and you just kept playing because you stayed curious. Because, you know, that's also how the greatest people out there also have breakthroughs. The scientists, Tesla, all these things, because these people remain curious. It doesn't just happen.
Exactly. It's a choice, right? It's a choice. And I love that you brought that into such a clear transmission, because I always teach, I play my way into more prosperity. I play my way into more love. I play my way into more expression. Each of it is like, oh, it feels scary to use my voice. And like, I've just started learning guitar. I mean, for the last couple of years, I started working with a vocal activate. Like, that was the next journey of, can I claim being a musician and an artist, and like toning and channeling ways? Everything is just play to greater and greater capabilities, greater remembrance of all of our gifts and our aspects, greater, like, wow, like how much more is available when we play and play, and notice that frequency. The frequency of play is like, again, like excitement, curiosity. That is how we manifest. That's how we move towards manifesting, is like you said, when someone's like, ooh, instead of that's wrong, it's like, okay, what else is possible? What else is possible? What else is possible? Was it like Einstein, or who created the light bulb? Albert Einstein? Was that like, what was it, like 1,000+ tries? And he was like, if he would have been like 5 tries, like, oh, I suck. It wouldn't happen. Like, what else is possible? Let me play with this. Let me play with this. So we're playing with energy. We're playing with thoughts and ideas. We're playing with interactions. We're playing with our triggers. We're playing with how much more I can open and receive love and joy and sensuality. Like, we're just playing. Yes, let's play.
I love that. I have to ask, with such a beautiful, positive, fun way also, you know, because just the last thing, what I'm also hearing from what you're saying is that, because when we play, we're not rigid, we don't control, which means that we don't control what the universe is trying to bring to us. Like, we're just open to that space.
Yeah, beloved, we're in co-creation with the divine. Right. It's like, so our human only like, oh, I want it to go this way. Why isn't that going this way? And our highest self is like, oh, sweetheart, we set this up for you. We're going to keep putting a blockage there, that you get curious and you get guided this way, that you go down this whole other path. It's like, I am the creator because I choose how I respond, and following the energy and all the things that I bring forth in it. And I'm also in co-creation with the divine in every, and again, this is the aspect of the 5D, is that I am wholeness. So I am all things. I am the energy of each person. I'm interconnected with all of life, giving me energy and guiding me to where I get to go. So it's this 3D construct that says, I want to go this way. And when we keep hitting resistance, and it's like water, again, this is the divine feminine flow. So the feminine leads my masculine. The feminine just wants to play and get curious and be like, oh, what else? And what else? And oh, and I receive from my feminine in her play that then goes, ooh, this is what feels really good. Oh, how can I create that? And I'm gonna channel it through the masculine. In alignment is inspiration, is action through inspiration, inspired action, right? And so it becomes this beautiful, how we create and act based on what we receive. So it is fluid, and that is where we're going in New Earth as well. It is to activate the codes of the new divine feminine. Isis has very much been channeling with me that there's a new divine frequency. It's the new, and the feminine divine frequency is source code consciousness, which is 0 point consciousness. It is like the creation of all. So, it's like the more that we can embrace, this is actually how we're meant to operate, is the struggle comes from operating out of our divine blueprint. And that's what we've been programmed in. The divine blueprint is, I feel the energy goes here, and trusting, okay, what's here for me, and following from our bodies, from our energy to be embodied. We're here to be embodied, integrated souls, to be integrated into this body. I'm still fucking mystical. I'm that too. And I'm here to be in a body, in a human experience, and to be in like, how do I create my human experience as my greatest fucking life adventure? And play with relationships, and play with love, and play with all these things, to be embodied, to experience it fully. But that's what we're here, is to experience it fully. And only by experiencing it fully do we receive what's next, and what's next, and what's next, and what's next. So it's such a beautiful dance. We're just dancing. I call it the cosmic comedy show and the holy human dance. It's like, we're just dancing with what life brings us so that we can move to the next. So if we can hear from this, to see beyond the illusion, to hear what is available when we listen, when we, get curious, when we start to activate our in spirit. Even enlightenment is to be in light. So if we're buying into the story that because of what's happening in the world, I'm a victim to that, and I have to be in heaviness, that's a choice. And it was actually a couple years ago, before this whole thing happened. It was probably like, I want to say like a year before even Corona and COVID and all this stuff happened. The light beings had told me, they're like, it's coming. There's something coming that is literally going to be a time where we can choose as a collective, we can choose new earth, or we can choose the destruction. And they're like, it's all based on choice. And I remember being like, okay, like, all right, I'm not attached to that. I trust that if we're all going fucking down, like, this is my perfect experience where, and this is the funny, interesting part of this play out, how this is played out, is what I recognize is that even in whatever is happening, I'm experiencing new earth now. Like, my worst case scenario is I'm going to live in bliss. Like, that's my choice. Like, my foundations that I operate from is unconditional love, acceptance, compassion, honoring, curiosity. Like, I honor all beings in this time. So I'm not getting attached to the stories of you should do this or that or da 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 da. I'm over here in my play, being the highest frequency, experiencing my new earth abundance, building new earth communities, etc. And someone else at this time is experiencing opposite. And so even though, like, we all still, even with what's happening, we all can be experiencing whatever we want to experience. I still don't know that means, we're all going to either go this way or all going to go this way. What I do know is we've hit an over tipping scale. Like the Pleiadians had told me, and the Arcturians, that it was like 53% of people have now chosen in on awakening. And it was like, what is that? 47% have chosen to just be like, this is fucking too much, I'm going to sleep. But guess what? That's a tipping scale. And doesn't matter if someone chose to go to sleep, I'm over here choosing to be awake and choosing to awaken others by me being awake, which is just going to continue to feed my experience. So it really comes down to, what do we want to experience? What do we want to experience? And can we embrace that and put our full focus and our energy towards our liberation and what's actually available for us? And that is an awakening of our consciousness. That is a finding our spirituality, to be in spirit, to be, with all of ourselves.
I love that. You're just nailing it. I have to ask you, because I'm sure you've already answered it in so many different aspects, but if you can put it like in a nutshell, what is your definition of spirituality?
Well, being.
Perfect.
Is anything else required to be said?
But that's perfect, because it's such an intimate and different experience for everyone. But I love that, just being, because so many religions require, or religions or spiritualities or things that requires you to do something all the time, like, and you get stuck in that place of doing that, it takes you out of just being. I fully agree with you.
Yeah, well, I'm considered more, if someone was to like use a label of like about me, it would most likely be at this time be said that I'm a spiritual teacher. There was time I never would have considered myself a spiritual teacher. Again, I taught people through the levels of consciousness and creating their best life, meaning like align your relationships, align your money game, align your passion, your purpose, your expression, blah, 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 all these things. And it somewhere in there became like, this is just me being like, that is, so it just, I guess when we have these labels about words, like spirituality could mean religion or other things for me. I'm not a religion. I'm spirit. I am in spirit. I'm just guided by the co-creation of energy. And so for me, I'm like, well, yeah, just like, there's no idea for me that spirituality means anything even associated to church or religion or anything. It's just, we're all on a journey of our awakening of our spirit, our source, our fullest expression. So I say that our purpose is just to discover our own divine, unique expression, our own divine, unique essence, why we came here. Because again, all of us, like none of us can be the same. If we look at, we all have different voice box, different fingerprints, different toe prints, different ideas, different thoughts, different experiences. Even people, you grow up in the same household and you have different experiences. You have different thoughts about things, right? Like we're not meant to be the same. We're all on our own unique path. That is spirituality. It's just fucking being here.
I love that. And is there one also thing that you can explain to us, like when you are in that state of being, is there like a fun ritual like that you apply to your life every day that helps you to get into that state of spirituality?
Well, I mean, so the practice is to be present with all of life, to be in this moment, to be fully here with you, instead of like, and even for everyone here, it's like, can we surrender to the space and like let go of thoughts or ideas, I should be doing this, etc., and be like, can I be here? Can I bring my mind here? Can I bring my heart here? Can I feel you? Can I be in presence with you? So the journey for me has just become living consciously. Like every single moment is to just be with, oh, this thought came up. Is it contracting, or is it going to contract, or is it going to expand me? Is it a feeling of energy? Not good? Okay, interesting. What's this about? See, so it's like every moment when we just start to practice being curious, I would say, with whatever is present for us, because whatever is in this moment is what your soul requires. This is why we're playing, our soul's curriculum is playing with whatever's in front of us that is whatever's in front of you, that if it doesn't feel good, if it's not in alignment with what you say you want, if it's not having amazing relationships, and what's in front of you is there's a relationship struggle, it's like, oh, this is asking me to lean into, what am I tolerating? What am I believing? What are the thoughts or stories here? What's my relationship, or how am I relating to this? What's my relationship to relationship? Am I consciously communicating? Am I asking for what I want? Am I creating my own boundaries? Like there's an infinite gold mine available with one single trigger that comes up. So by being willing to be with life is, I feel like, the greatest practice we can have. It's our mastery, is to be here in this full experience, to be with whatever wants to come up. And I teach a ton of embodiment tools, and I these are just things that I do every single day, which it's like, get up and I go put my feet in the grass and I shake and I chant and I tone and I do all these things to move energy through my body, and then I go to my altar and I meditate and I do my breath play and all these different aspects that I teach that keep me to be a clean vessel. And then I go about my day, and then I'm like, okay, it's like I'm starting to feel heavy or anxious. Interesting. Why? What's here? Okay, let me go move some energy. And I'm just playing with how life is showing up and playing with energy. So I think that's our greatest journey, is to learn to be or to activate our inner alchemist that is playing with all energy and alchemizing it to light.
Yes, amen to that. I love that. Oh, wow, Marci, thank you so much. This is such great information that you're sharing here for us. And I love it. This, even for me, I felt like I was a student today here with, just listening and playing into your spirituality. Honestly, truth bomb, I forgot to do that. And here I am teaching it, speaking it every day. And it's like, it's become a routine. And I'm like, as you're talking about it, I'm like, Evette, you're not playing. You're not playing. And then you can start to resent the very thing that you love, or not resent it, but you start to form a heavy negative association with that.
Yeah. Love, what I would contribute is that you are playing. And that when we just get these beautiful reflections of, ooh, how much more can I play? right? Because again, like in a way that's denying even all the greatness that you already are. You've been doing this journey and and sometimes we can get stuck in these motions. That's how sometimes it can feel for people. We're like, okay, I meditate, I do this, but it becomes like this routine that they forget to actually, or don't recognize there's more layers. There's just more layers. They're just more fun. And so it's so beautiful. What I love about this journey is that's why I believe every interaction is for a reason. Every single divine being is God and reflecting for us that we're seeing whatever is there. So I'm so grateful that, you know, I could reflect even another, oh, that's right, I can play. I know I've had those reflections in my life too, where if I ever catch a story, like I shared with you, how I'd just been through a big death and rebirth and kind of took 3 months off and just put everything on hold, trusting, you know, like letting go of these stories of what it had to look like to maintain business or feel my retreats or whatever. And it was like, because I caught, oh, there's how do I get to play and me be of the highest nourishing for my soul and let all that be taken care of. And that was a new layer of play. So each thing is just, we're just all continuing to play and see how much more play we can have. So thank you for that reflection and for just even leaning into how much more you get to be enlivened and play as well, and all that you do to serve the world, because you serve so many more people being in your joy and in your light and it being fulfilling and fun and playful. That's why I was like, ooh, what would be the most nourishing for my soul? How could I create that? What else would that look like? And it's in our play, we move forward and we create, you know? So I really honor that about your journey and all that you've been able to do, and just really appreciate, you know, you being here and creating this and how much more you get to play into. So I'm so happy to play with you.
Thank you so much. But thank you for the reminder as well, and honoring you. Also for just being that mirror, being that light of showing us what we can do, showing us what we can become, and you know what we're capable of. Because we all, as you said, this is something you stand in very strong. You say like we all are each other's mirrors. So at the end of the day, if I can see that greatness in you, then it means that you've just opened up that potential for me to step into that, because there's a recognition that you serve for me to see that. And that's beautiful. And this is what we all do for each other as well.
Yeah, that is spirituality. It's like we're just all lights. We're just reflecting the light for each other and remembering our spirit, playing together in this beautiful holy human playground.
I love it. Thank you so much for your love, your time, your kindness, and thank you for serving humanity, because this is something that people forgot how to do. Thank you for being here, and thank you for
I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for being with me and being with us and just being the light beings that you are. I'm so grateful.
Thank you, everyone. Be the light that you are.